The night after King Ekenna's burial was like no other in the history of Orua. The air was heavy. The moon hid behind thick clouds, and the wind howled across the kingdom like a spirit in mourning. Not even the crickets dared to sing. Orua had lost its light. The great king who had ruled with strength and courage now slept beneath the earth. Yet even as the drums of mourning faded, something in the air felt wrong, deeply wrong. People whispered to one another in fear. The spirits are restless, some said. The gods are angry, said others. No one knew why, but every heart trembled. As the hour of midnight drew near, the ground trembled softly beneath the palace. A strange light appeared above the king's grave, faint at first, like the glow of a dying ember. Then, suddenly, it burst into flame, bright, golden, and wild, like a spirit fire dancing in the wind. The palace guards saw it first. They froze where they stood, their eyes wide. By the ancestors, one whispered. The grave of the king is burning, cried another. They ran through the courtyard, their spears clattering, until they reached the priest's hut. Great one, they shouted, kneeling at the door. The grave of King Ekenna is shining like the sun. Inside, the old priest of Orua rose slowly. His beard was long and white, and his eyes, though dim with age, still held the sharp light of wisdom. He stepped outside, gazed toward the royal tomb, and nodded grimly. It is the sign, he said softly. The land is still unclean. The spirit of the king is not at rest. His words carried through the night like a cold wind. That same night, far from the palace, in a quiet hut by the edge of the sacred grove, a young woman woke from a terrible dream. Her name was Adaeze, daughter of the late King Ekenna and his first wife, the queen who had died many seasons ago. She was known throughout the land as the voice of the gods, a seer blessed from birth with divine sight. But her powers had been silent for many moons. The gods had withdrawn their voice from her, and she had lived in quiet sorrow. Yet that night, the gods spoke again. In her dream, Adaeze saw her father standing at the border of the kingdom. He was dressed in white, his crown glowing faintly, and in his hands he held a calabash full of fire. His eyes were full of sorrow. Daughter of the gods, he said, his voice echoing like thunder, forgive me. The land is cursed. The blood of the innocent cries from the earth. Only you can heal it. Adaeze tried to reach out, but her hands passed through smoke. Her father's image flickered, and the dream shattered like glass. She woke with a cry, her heart pounding like a drum. For a long time she sat in the darkness, trembling. But deep within her chest, something stirred, something she had not felt in months, the gentle touch of the gods. They had called her again. And she knew what it meant. The gods wanted her to finish what her father could not. At dawn, the kingdom gathered in the palace square. The old priest stood at the steps of the royal temple, his staff raised high. The people of Orua, farmers, hunters, traders, nobles, all filled the square, their faces shadowed by fear. People of Orua, the priest cried. His voice echoed across the crowd. Our king is gone, but the gods are not pleased. His spirit cannot rest, and his shadow walks among us. A murmur spread like wine through dry leaves. Some gasped, some wept quietly. The priest continued, but the gods have shown mercy. They have chosen the seer, Adaeze, the voice of the gods, to cleanse the land and restore peace. The crowd turned as Adaeze stepped forward. She wore a simple white wrapper, her hair tied with cowries that shimmered in the sunlight. Though young, her presence carried the calm power of a river before a storm. I will do as the gods command, she said softly. But I will need the staff of truth and the tears of the earth. The priest nodded solemnly. The staff lies in the forest of memories, guarded by the spirits of forgotten kings. And the tears of the earth flow from the river of time, where no mortal has walked in 100 years. A gasp rose from the people. Those who had heard tales of those places shook their heads in fear. None who entered them ever returned. But Adaeze bowed her head. If the gods are with me, she said, I will return. Before she left, Adaeze went to the palace to bid farewell to her stepbrother, Prince Obinna, who had just been crowned as the new king. He was brave and noble, though still young, his eyes heavy with the weight of the crown. He met her in the royal garden. Please, Adaeze, he said, taking her hands, you do not have to do this alone. The kingdom needs you alive. Adaeze smiled sadly. The sin of our father must be cleansed by his blood. I carry that blood too, my brother. This is my path. Obinna's voice trembled. If you do not return, I will never forgive myself. Adaeze touched his cheek gently. If I do not return, tell the people that peace was bought with love, not sorrow. Then she turned away, her white robe fluttering like a dove's wing, and walked toward the forest. Only the wind followed her. The journey was long and cruel. For days, Adaeze walked through dark valleys and thick forests. Wild beasts roared in the night, but they did not attack her. The spirits of the woods whispered her name, some with anger, others with sorrow. The forest of memory stood before her like a wall of green mist. When she entered, the air changed, it shimmered, heavy and dreamlike. The trees were tall and ancient, their bark carved with faces of kings long gone. Their eyes seemed to watch her as she walked deeper into the shadows. Then, a deep voice thundered through the forest. Who seeks the staff of truth? Adaeze knelt. I am Adaeze, daughter of Ekenna, chosen of the gods. The air grew still. From the mist emerged 7 ghostly figures, wearing crowns that glowed faintly. They were the spirits of the kings of Orua, the ancestors who had ruled before her father's time. One of them stepped forward, his voice low and grave. Your father's sin has stained the bloodline of kings. Do you have the courage to bear the pain of his guilt? Adaeze lifted her head. I do. My life belongs to the gods. The spirit nodded and lifted the staff of truth, made of white wood that glowed with golden light. Then take this, he said. But remember, truth brings pain before peace. Adaeze reached out. The moment her fingers touched the staff, a wave of power rushed through her. Visions flashed before her eyes, her mother's tears, her father's secret sins, the suffering of the land. She cried out, but she did not let go. When the vision faded, she stood trembling, but her heart was steady. The spirits whispered as they faded into mist. Go now to the river of time. There, you will find what you seek, or lose what you love. For many days, Adaeze walked through lands unknown. The sky grew darker with each step. The ground cracked. Winds howled like voices of the dead. Sometimes she thought she heard her name, whispered from the shadows, but when she turned, there was nothing there. Still, she pressed on. She sang softly, the lullaby her mother once sang. A river may rage, a mountain may fall, but the spirit of truth will conquer all. At last, she reached a wide clearing. Before her stretched a river so strange, it seemed not of this world. Its waters were clear as glass, and they flowed backward, moving against time itself. Mist rose from its surface, glowing faintly. On the riverbank stood a woman dressed in white, her face hidden by a veil. "You have come far, child of destiny," said the woman, her voice soft as the wind. "Why do you seek the tears of the earth?" Adaeze bowed low. "To cleanse my father's sin and free my land from the curse." The woman lifted her veil. Adaeze gasped. It was her mother's face, radiant and sorrowful. "My child," the spirit said gently, "the gods have heard your cry. But to collect the tears of the earth, you must offer your own heart. Are you willing to give your life for your people?" Adaeze trembled. She thought of her brother, of her people, of her father's tormented spirit. Then she took a deep breath. "If my life will bring peace," she said, "then let it be so." The river began to glow brighter. Adaeze's tears fell into the water, and where they touched, they turned into a shining blue stone, the tear of the earth. Her mother's spirit smiled and said, "Take this, my daughter. The gods are with you." But as Adaeze turned to leave, the river darkened. The water churned violently, and a shadow rose from its depths, a tall, monstrous figure with eyes of flame. It spoke in a voice that shook the ground. "Foolish child. You think you can undo what is done? The blood of your father is cursed forever. No tear can wash it away." The spirit of her mother cried out, "Run, Adaeze." But Adaeze stood firm. She gripped the staff of truth tightly, her eyes glowing with divine fire. "The gods forgive," she said, her voice clear and strong. "And through me, they will heal the land." The shadow roared, and the river erupted. The battle began. The sky turned red. The earth split open. The wind screamed. The spirit of chaos hurled darkness at her, shadows that clawed and burned. But Adaeze raised the staff of truth, and light burst from it, cutting through the darkness like a blade. Each strike shook the heavens. Each cry echoed through the land of Orua. In the palace, King Ekenna looked up at the strange light rising in the distance. He felt his heart twist. He knew his sister was fighting for them all. Adaeze's strength began to fade, but her spirit burned brighter. "You will not have my people," she cried. She drove the staff into the ground. Light exploded, pure, golden, blinding. The darkness screamed as it was torn apart. The curse cracked like thunder. And then, silence. The light slowly dimmed. The river of time flowed calmly once more. Adaeze knelt on the ground, her breath weak. The staff slipped from her hand, its glow fading. She looked toward the rising sun and smiled faintly. "Let my soul rest in peace," she whispered. "And let Orua live forever." Then her body grew still. The wind carried her last breath to the heavens. At dawn, the people of Orua woke to find their land bathed in golden light. The air felt clean and new. The birds sang as though they had been silent for 1,000 years. The old priest came running from the temple, tears in his eyes. "The curse is broken," he cried. "The gods have forgiven us." King Ekenna stood on the palace balcony, gazing toward the forest. His heart ached with pride and sorrow. In that moment, a gentle wind swept through the square, carrying the scent of lilies, Adaeze's favorite flower. He knew she was gone, yet somehow, he also knew she was still there. That night, the people lit lamps across the kingdom, one in every home, one in every heart, to honor Adaeze, the daughter of the gods, who gave her life for peace. Many moons passed. The land of Orua flourished once more. The crops grew tall, the rivers flowed clear, and the laughter of children filled the air. But at the edge of the river of time, where the water shimmered like glass, there stood a single tree, white as bone, glowing faintly in the moonlight. Beneath it lay a figure sleeping peacefully, untouched by time. Some say that when Orua faces darkness again, the spirit of Adaeze will awaken. They say the river still sings her name at night, a soft song carried by the wind. The truth brings pain before peace. But the light of love never dies. And so ends the tale of Adaeze, the girl who spoke with the gods, who carried her father's sin upon her shoulders, and who turned sorrow into salvation. Her story is told by the fireside in Orua even now. And whenever a child asks why the stars shine so brightly above the river of time, the elders smile and say, "It is Adaeze, watching over us, the sleeping spirit of Orua." Now let's watch out for part 3 where Adaeze's spirit awakens in another realm, and a mysterious prophecy begins to unfold, tying her fate to the future of Orua Kingdom. Please let us know where you are watching from, leave a comment below, we love to hear from you. Please like the video and share with your family and friends. Please also subscribe to this channel so we can bring more videos to you. Thanks for being part of us.